Hot water machine. Oh, there's a little redness of it. Oh! But yeah, it really hurts.
Brewer is just happy that one of 4 recordings was not him for this recording session. And it happens to be the first one of the month. How lucky is that?
Right.
Welcome back to another episode of Use Your Words Podcast. So just for anyone who doesn't know, we record a bunch of episodes on a Saturday, release them all out over time, blah, 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 blah. This happens to be the first one to be released, but the last one to be recorded. So this will be proving to be interesting. And we have, the wonderfulness of Lent that we are talking about, since we are in the middle of the Lenten season.
The Lenten season.
The Lenten season, between the time of Lent, Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras, and all that, and Easter. But before we get there, you know what's coming up, don't you, Aaron?
Mm-hmm.
What's coming up?
My favorite time.
Here's Aaron's word of the week.
Aaron, it very much is your favorite time of the week.
Uh-huh.
You're like, no. This word, well, I have no idea how to pronounce it.
Quiddity.
That's how you say it.
Quiddity.
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 That is the word that Brewer has to get you to define.
Okay, are olives or grapes in this one?
Remember, this is the first episode of the month, so people have no idea why you're talking about olives or grapes.
So you'll find out later.
You'll have to listen to later on to figure out why Johnson is now confused about what the difference between olives and grapes are. That being said, Brewer, do you have the word up?
Okay.
I need a verbal confirmation, please.
Negative.
So please pull up the word.
Get with it.
Positive.
All right.
All right. So your minute starts in 3, 2.
Oh my God. Oh my. Why you gotta do this to me?
No, this was actually a difficult one for me.
Oh. You should have said wait until you were ready. What can I spell? Help! Quiddity.
Okay. You like things that have this trait to them. They're made well.
They have quality.
And
Okay.
certain brands are known
To be reliable? I don't know.
You just said the darn word.
Quality.
Okay. Put it together.
Reliable and quality? Company quality control? What?
You buy it because why?
Because I think it's a good product.
But
And there's your time.
What the frick?
Where were you going with this definition? He completely took it off the rails.
Oh my goodness!
the quality that makes a thing what it is.
The essential nature of a thing.
I probably never would have gotten that.
I figured pick at least one wonderfully difficult one for the month.
Yeah, you did good.
The other 3 can be of varying quality, but one that needs to be at least very difficult. It could also mean a trifling nicety of subtle distinction.
I don't
as
like
an
that.
argument.
I don't like that.
Why?
A trifling what?
Nicety of
Nicety
subtle distinction.
Nicety of subtle distinction.
Yeah,
And of an argument or in an argument, whatever.
as an argument.
As
yeah.
an argument. What?
What? I don't like that word either. Nicety? Nicety?
You don't like nicety?
No. It's a weird word.
Whatness and affections of being distinguished between quiddity.
I don't like quiddity.
Uh,
I don't like quiddity. It makes me think it's
the
quiddity.
suchness of being implies a previously existing being in quiddity.
Cool. I'm glad we got that over with. You know what I'm giving up for Lent?
Words?
Yes.
Well, guess what? I can see the future and I know you're unsuccessful.
Yeah, I know.
So since we're
Dang
between
it.
the time of Lent and that and Easter, it's like,
Easters.
let's have a conversation about the Lenten season, because Lent is one of those things in the Christian calendar that either is ultra uber important or just glossed over and forgotten, it seems. And you look in Milwaukee, for example, right? Right
Okay.
now, we are in the fish fry season. Now, I know,
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Johnson, you cannot have fish.
Nope.
Understood. But it's like this big cultural thing. You know, we have to have fish fry because it's Lenten season.
Right.
Because apparently we're all giving up something. And if you're Catholic, you're giving up all meat.
Even though fish meat.
You're allowed to have fish on Fridays.
Yep. Even though fish is meat.
Well, yes. So
I don't care.
why do we do Lent? Let me ask that question.
Well, I would say it's to better yourself. And because how long does it last? It's roughly it's about a month span.
Yeah.
Which to start a good habit takes about a month of actually working at it to have it actually set in. So that makes sense. So if you can actually do it for the month, that will help. Hopefully you continue on with it if it's really that big of a thing. So I'd imagine, it's just to help better yourself as a human being to a point, and to honor God, and yeah.
So
Depending on what it is.
what did Lent start out as? Let me ask that, because that's kind of where it's kind of moved into in the current cultural realms. But how did
This
it
is
really
just
start?
Like say a cleansing thing, but
Well,
not necessarily.
so
I'm a little
the purpose of
off.
Lent, as it started, so Lent lasts about 6 weeks, FYI, so a little more than a month.
Oh, so yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's to prepare the believer for Easter through prayer,
Mm-hmm.
penance, mortifying the flesh.
Mortifying the flesh.
What does mortifying the flesh mean?
mortifying the flesh? Why do you like mortify? It's why. Trying to think. Why?
Okay,
do I-
what?
I'm trying to think because like
Think the first word. What would
Mortify.
you say mortifying?
Man, it sounds like scary.
What does it mean to mortify something?
To be afraid of something.
Well, no. Mortify. What the definition of mortify is to
Mortify.
put to death.
Yeah.
So what does
I'm
it mean
trying to
by
think of why you're
mortifying the
looking-
flesh?
To put your flesh to death.
Okay, but think about that in Christianese almost.
Christianese.
Yeah, what would that be? If you're going to mortify the flesh.
Put to death the things of like this world or fleshly, I guess earthly desires kind of thing.
You're going to put to death the sinful nature of your
Yeah.
body.
Die to oneself.
Yeah.
And our nature is sinful.
So common forms of mortification include fasting, Lent,
Yeah.
fasting, abstinence, and pious kneeling. You know, like you do in the Catholic Church, see how you kneel on the whatchamacallit, the pew things. So other things that happen during Lent: repentance of sins, almsgiving, and self-denial. Self-denial would be like giving up something for Lent. You know, when I was younger, I might have done caffeine because I loved caffeine. Now I'm like, I have a headache. That ain't happening. So that's kind of where that kind of started happening there. That's where it really started. Now, obviously, we don't really do almsgiving anymore. Do either of you know what means to give alms?
It's been told me before, but I don't remember what that means.
Did you want to take a guess?
No.
Brewer, do you know what give alms is?
Don't look it up. You looked it up.
It means
That's
to
it?
give up to others as an act of virtue, either materially or in the sense of capabilities, like a service.
You didn't know that, Aaron?
Shut up, Josh.
Josh didn't know it. He had to look it up.
Did I, or did I have to remind myself?
So
You did not have to remind yourself. You
What?
didn't know.
So how? Okay, I don't know. The reason I don't know. I was listening to a song. In the song, it says, "Why do you all look mortified?" So that gives me the thought of you should be like you're like.
Why do you all look like you're?
Scared.
Why do you all?
But this is saying to feel embarrassed, ashamed, or humiliated.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between feeling mortified and mortifying the flesh. There's a difference
Yeah.
in there. But so that's why historically Lent has been done. Why is it, and Aaron, you kind of touched upon this earlier. Why is Lent done now culturally in that?
Probably just make yourself better.
Is it to make yourself better?
That's how I've heard it described to me by others that have like participated in Lent.
How does it make you better?
Well, like one friend, he's given up alcohols, so I guess to him, or I guess it's to sober up, I suppose more so. So
Okay, to sober up would be a very good thing. I'm not going to argue with that. That would
Yeah.
make you better.
yeah,
But okay, let me ask this. Let's
So-
say again, I know my family, mostly Catholic, they're giving up steak for Lent.
okay, yeah, that doesn't make you better.
Why
by any
why would you
means.
do that? How would that make you better?
That doesn't,
Brewer?
unless it makes you healthier somehow. But
I'm
maybe you eat disgustingly large amounts of steak, and it's bad for you. I don't know. Take it away.
is steak that big of a thing in the Mexican culture?
No, it's more along the line of the for giving it up type of thing. It's more along the line of that's what you do in the Catholic Church. You give up meat.
So that's what I'm asking is if in the Mexican culture is steak a very big piece of the meal?
Yeah, it can be. Depends.
So
But I mean, it's not. You give up any type of meat, chicken as well, steak, because
in the Catholic culture?
yeah,
Okay.
you
But your
know,
family just does steak.
some do. Or again, like going back to when I was in college, people in college would give up caffeine, or they'd give up video games or music,
See,
or
wow, that's dangerous.
or they'd give up. I knew some people in college who would give up shaving for Lent. I was like, so we're back in No Shave November, okay?
Right.
So you're
Rough.
giving up things you enjoy
Yeah.
to prepare for Easter. Now, here's the thing that I really think is the core crux of the issue. You give up those things, okay? I'm going to say music. So you give up that time of music, but instead of doing music, what are you doing?
It's what are you using outside of that time now?
Yeah, if you're now using that time to, go work on a car or do something else, you're replacing one activity with another. What are you really giving up? You're not. Instead, what you should be spending that time is using that time to do self-disciplines, which get you closer to God. That's really the purpose of Lent.
Yeah.
The Lent is to get you to a state to prepare for Easter. Not, I'm doing this because I'm told I must give up something.
Right. Which
Now, again, to
Yeah.
your friend, if they're giving it up to sober up and maybe get healthier because of the alcohol thing, and they're using this as kind of something to jumpstart that, beautiful.
it's not bad. Right.
But if you're using that as the only excuse and you're not replacing it with something to help you better connect with God, then that's an issue.
Right. Yeah.
Which then leads me to my next question. I want to hear Brewer's answer on this first.
Okay. Get ready.
Brewer, can you give up God for Lent and in turn get closer to God?
Absolutely.
Okay, I want to hear his reasoning.
I was kidding. You can't, because that defeats the purpose of Lent.
Does it?
Yeah.
Why? I'm going to be like a little kid. Why?
Oh, boy. Because Lent is a time in which you give up something that you enjoy or do often, excluding work, obviously. And you replace that time with trying to get closer and, like you were saying, prepare yourself for Easter. So it's really not a thing of just giving up something in your life. It's putting time, more time than normal, is how it should be, aside for focusing on God. Realistically, if you Lent God, you are pretty much saying, I don't want to talk to you, don't want to have any connection with you, don't want to do anything that glorifies you for a whole month. And that's complete opposite of it. And that's completely pointless if you do that. I think I know where you're going with this. I can see somebody going, what is it called? Separation. Like a thing of withdrawals, creating distance. Like I know some people will say that their relationship improves because they have been without someone for a while.
That's not where I was going.
No? Oh, dang. Okay, where are you going?
Okay, so here's my question then.
10-year-old Jimmy.
Nope. No Jimmy, just Brewer and Aaron and Paul. That's all it is. No imaginary people in this one. So, and it kind of touches on some of the stuff you touched on, but not 100%. So, what if you took that 6 weeks of Lent, right? And you say, and again, I'm doing all hypotheticals here. For Lent, you gave up God, but as that replacement, what you then did was you basically took what you believe, why you believe it, and essentially deconstructed down to the basics, where you then reconstructed to make sure you fully understand why you believe in what you believe. Essentially, you take what you think you know is true, assume it's false, break it down to its basics, and then rebuild it back up.
I'll be 100% honest with you. It makes no sense.
I'm glad you're being honest. Why aren't you normally not honest?
Because you're here.
So
yeah, that makes no sense. Because in essence, you're still focused on God in that time frame, even though you've given him up.
not necessarily.
So how do you believe in Christianity if I see where you're going with that one.
I don't know if you do, because I don't even know where I'm going with it.
Nice.
You could say almost, well, you pray to Mary or you pray to the prophet.
Nope, wasn't going there.
But anyways,
St. Peter.
yeah. So you have all these different things that you could allegedly say, but I mean, in essence, you would still be focusing on God because that's Christianity. It revolves around Christ, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus. I mean, you would temporarily doubt Christ, turn around, and you're almost like asking Christ to show you he is real. Again, you're in a sense still completely focusing on him. It's not in a sense, you are completely focusing on him.
But
Unless you go, my religion is to pray to no one and to go nowhere to speak with no one. God is involved in that 24/7.
nope. So what I'm saying is, you assume, you take what you know as true. You make your assumptions, and you say, you know what? Let's take one component of it, for example. Okay. You take component one. Component one being, let's choose something, virgin birth. I'm just taking one small component of this, because there's a lot of components here. And instead of saying and going, okay, I know this is true, blah blah, you go to the assumption this is false. Now let me find the data or find the reasons to believe that this is true. I'm not looking and believing still in God. Well, let me phrase that. That sounds so hard. It's hard to phrase this correctly. It's where you're questioning every little component of your faith. Because I think at times what we do, especially in America, we're we don't like asking questions. We like the soft, easy answers. We like the answers where we go, okay, well, so what about Jesus' virgin birth? And we go, oh, it says here, but we go, just take it on faith. Instead of having those conversations with people, because guess what? A lot of people are going to read that and go, what? That's a little crazy. Why do you believe that to be true? What do you find historical, cultural at the time? What supporting evidence outside of just, I have the ESV that says this, That's when I say give up God for Lent. Could that be useful in that regard? Now, I'm not saying I 100% agree with it. I'm just trying to...
A little bit of devil's advocate.
Yeah.
So, in essence, what you're saying is not what you're saying, but it's what you're saying. You're not giving up God. That's just weird to phrase it that way, in my opinion. I think it's a little twisty-turny.
It's not meant to be straightforward or easy either.
Aaron?
Johnson, what are your thoughts?
He's waking up. Give him a second.
I'm waking up. I don't think... we don't have to give up God just for Lent.
Oh,
I feel like
okay.
I'm saying that that's not the only time we do. Because, there's definitely times where a lot of people will have those phases where, like, I'm done. Or they'll go and rebel and be like, get frustrated and then come to the realization of, oh, wait, that was dumb.
Right.
It's not good to intentionally, I guess. Well, I guess that's also something I should actually think more about before I say it. Because is giving up on God would be turning your back on him, I'd imagine.
I don't know if it's necessarily turning your back on him. It's maybe that I need to challenge my assumptions.
Yeah, maybe. Because once, turning your back on him and just rejecting him, that's dangerous.
It's like,
this
isn't a very solid analogy. I understand this. But it's like Josh when he gets in trouble in the future, then he's told to go sleep on the couch. Amy's giving him up for the night.
True.
She hasn't turned her back on him.
No,
and he hasn't turned her back.
Yeah. Okay.
She might, in that moment of anger, question some of the things, and then after people have had a time to cool down, they come back and they realize, okay, we blew up over something. But you can either use that opportunity as a learning opportunity to be like, okay, you know what? When we fight, we shouldn't throw balls at each other. Or they can ignore that stuff and eventually it's going to cause issues. What happens in any relationship, a friendship, a marriage, dating, whatever. And both of you could talk about this because guess what? One of you is about to get married. One of you has friends.
Oh,
friends.
We know what brewer is to you. I'm a real friend.
Got him.
Anywho, what do you do when conflict comes up, though, in a relationship?
You
address it. You don't let it sit there and fester. Yes? No? Maybe so?
Maybe not every time. Not perfectly every time.
Well, no, we don't do it perfectly every time.
Because if you were perfect, you wouldn't have the issue in the first place.
Right.
But
regardless of that. But what I'm getting at, let me, and then you can continue.
Mm-hmm.
So keep the thought in your brain.
No,
keep it cycling. What I'm getting at is that we're not going to approach everything perfectly, and we need to reassess how we interact with various things with people. If I do something that causes conflict with you, and you let me know about that, and we resolve it, I now need to know, A, now that I know about it, I can avoid it.
Yeah.
But B, that then shows me a new side of things that maybe I never considered before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking my assumptions that I knew about you with this new data, this new way of looking at it, changing it and making it more personal, more impactful.
Yeah. Yeah. So now I have maybe a question.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I don't think.
Yeah,
so let's say you have a choice to one, I guess, gosh, let's give an example.
Okay.
Single dude desires to, I guess, hopefully, desires to get married someday.
Okay.
Whatever. Obviously trusting God and what he says for being like abstaining and stuff like that. That's not easy to do.
Right.
So let's say you get a lovely situation where you can have a nice little hookup with somebody, and that just gets you all excited. But you're like, well, wait, like God would want this. He wouldn't want me to do this. So I know would turning away from what God would want for you and going on the route that just gives you some self-satisfaction in the time being, would that be a way of just like giving up on what God would want for you? Or is that too extreme?
No, there's nothing too extreme ever. Or when I say too extreme, I mean as a question.
Or am I just, maybe I'm not thinking of that correctly?
No, I mean,
it's
a fair question, because what do you do during that time when you, in this hypothetical give up God for Lent thing?
And also thinking of, right, David, right? Yeah. From the Bible.
Yeah.
He had that time, he's
Bathsheba. Talking about that?
Well, there's that. And then, I guess listening to a sermon on it before, it's kind of like he was living in compromise with God, where he was doing so well, and then he started getting distracted by the things that he wanted to do, and was just going on and doing his own thing. Is that, I don't know. I'm trying to think of it. If once you start going your own way and just starting to do what you want, is that kind of, in a sense, giving up on God and just like, no, I'm going to chase what I want to do because this is what I think is best?
In a way, I would say probably,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Because you kind of, as a Christian, you kind of are aware. Now, let me rephrase that. As an older Christian, you're usually aware of the basics, at least. If you're a younger Christian, things are new and okay. You know what? You need to go through the milk first before you can get to the meat, as the phrase is. You need to, just like a baby. When Josh's triplets are born, they're going to have the formula and the breast milk and that before they can move on to peas, or as Johnson calls them, olives.
What? Or grapes, or what?
Yeah,
what is what?
grapes.
Or
either they're
he
all the
said
same.
peas as well.
I did say peas because those are small and green.
So you have to. It's that progression. Before you have teeth, you have to just drink your food, and then eventually, as you get teeth, you can start chewing on it, and you can eventually work your way up to meat.
Yeah. So I guess I don't know. I wouldn't intentionally give up God for Lent. Like, I wouldn't be like, all right, well, for this Lent, giving you up, because I know when I come back from Lent and I come back to you, it's gonna be so much better. Like, I guess I wouldn't think of it as that mindset.
Right. This was more just a thought exercise. Like, could you?
Oh, for sure.
I'm not going, Johnson, let's give up God for the rest of Lent. I'm not saying that. I did not.
That means I am doing whatever the heck I want. I'm just kidding. That'd be dangerous and that'd be deadly.
But can you have that deconstruction?
Yeah.
And ultimately come to the conclusion of, you know what? I need God in my life.
Right. Well, I would say no, because the way you get closer to God is drawing near to him. And the more you draw near, I feel like it. Well, we were going over in James, and one of the probably well-known verse maybe is James 4:8. Draw near to God, and He will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands. This is telling you, cleanse your hands, you sinners.
Right.
Purify your hearts, you double-minded. Because I feel like the more, whenever, I guess I would, for the thing of the times when I'd probably given up on God is when I started going my own way, and then things start to get rough. And then with the one time being the motorcycle accident, that being a huge, wake up call. It's like, man, I am glad that happened, because that makes me realize where I guess I was going which wasn't good, and I wasn't focused on God and could get really bad really quick kind of thing.
Mhm.
So because of my accident, I think that was a big, like I said, a wake-up call where it's like, Aaron, you just don't get off track here. Don't try and start going down your own path, because I'm just gonna wreck it, which clearly I did. Man.
So, yeah, go on.
I like the end of this little. I like the end of the whole, that section or whatever for James. To continue going on, starting from 9, be wretched and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to gloom. Oh no, that sounds great. Verse 10: humble yourselves before the Lord, and He will exalt you. I like that verse. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like going. I wouldn't give up God to try and get closer to Him. Because once I give up God, I'm just gonna want to do my own thing, and then thankfully He'll be kind enough to me to throw some kind of roadblock in my way or some speed bump and be like, no.
Okay.
Come back around, buddy. And then I'm like, why didn't I see this in the first place?
So then let me ask this, okay? Slightly in the same realm, but not give up God for Lent, okay? Okay. But slightly in the same realm, because this is kind of a conversation that's been going online on social media recently, due to some episodes that were dropped on the Ear Biscuits podcast by Rhett and Lake. Are you familiar with their podcast?
I'm not familiar with it, but I know you've talked about it.
Okay. So they've done recently what they call a series on the lost years.
The lost years.
Yep.
Okay.
So that essentially is the years between college and when they started their YouTube channel. Essentially is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who are unaware, Rhett and Link used to be missionaries with Crew way back in the day. Way back when they were
Wait,
younger.
is that like the same crew that's in the college campuses type thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
They used to be missionaries with Crew. Both of them. And they worked on Crew staff.
Yeah.
So that was the thing that they started out doing. They both grew up in the same church together and everything, actually, over in North Carolina area.
Oh,
so they've known each other since like
youngins.
Like I forget what they said, first, second, something like that. Elementary school. They've known each other for a while. But the reason that this is kind of a topic on social media right now is there's this whole topic of deconstructionalism. So it's kind of close to the whole giving up God for Lent thing. But really what it is it's taking a critical, analytical look at why you believe what you believe. And in their case, they ended up going, well, we don't believe. And I think they call themselves hopeful agnostics now or something like that.
Hopeful agnostic.
Yeah, one's a hopeful agnostic and one's an agnostic that wants to be hopeful. That's how they put it.
Nice.
Regardless of the fact, that's just the way they're going. But let me ask you this, Brewer. Have you ever taken a time, I'm not saying where you gave up God for Lent type deal, but have you ever taken a time where you've taken a critical comb through everything you believed in and all that?
No,
I
haven't.
Okay. Is there any reason why? Just like nothing's ever prompted that to happen, or you just don't want to, or?
I just haven't. Not that I don't want to, I just haven't.
Okay. Johnson, same thing for you.
What? Oh, okay. Man, I remember when we were going through, I guess was it a series that fell for youth group at Fuel?
Way back in the day, Fuel.
Yeah, when it was still Fuel. And I think, was it John Piper? We were watching videos on him.
Okay.
But it had to do with, knowing how to defend our faith and know why we believe what we believe, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do I remember anything from that? No. John Piper, well, especially, I could listen to him now and not know what the heck he's saying. So, especially back then, when I was like, some of the stuff, I was just like, huh? But I guess trying to think of like, what do I dive into or comb through in the Bible to make me believe?
Well, not necessarily what you comb through in the Bible. Have you ever
Right.
taken what you believe and kind of combed through it with a fine-tooth comb to analyze everything?
To analyze everything.
Maybe another question, a way to put it is: have you ever had a crisis of faith?
Where I'm wondering why I still believe it.
Yep, or why you believe what you believe.
I have had those moments, yeah. Have I taken a lot of time to really, I guess, back it up? Not as much as I'd probably like to say. Probably because the main thing that I guess can come up is just, oh, it's a blind faith kind of thing. But
And there are some components where you kind of have to.
it kind of
Do
has
that.
to be that way.
But at the same time, if you're able to say all these other components, I can trust in because of X, Y, Z.
Right. Well,
I
guess
have one blind faith component of, and I
yeah,
have like 50 items. I know
that
why I believe.
Well, then, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of, I guess, do I believe that God loves me? Yeah. I mean, it's kind of clear in reading spots of the Bible, just like reading the story, like reading about Jesus's life, for the time he had here on earth, just seeing his interactions and what he did for the people. I mean, he did that for everyone. Now, obviously, him dying was the biggest thing of like, hey, this is for you guys.
Mhm.
So, I mean, with that, I mean, yeah, I have no question that he does. So, but then I always hate trying to think of some of the things like I've always hated about talking with some people. I was like, well, how do you know that's how it happened? Or how do you know this didn't happen? Like, because it could have happened this way, just because it doesn't say it in the Bible how it exactly happened. I'm like, okay, I don't know. I guess the one big thing would be creation.
Mhm.
Is, how did that happen? Like, do you believe that this couldn't have happened? I'm like, I don't know. In the Bible, it says he spoke it to be there. Then there's like, boom, okay, it's there. I don't know. And I guess there's some people that are like, well, he could have used some people's theories as a way to create
Yeah.
I don't know. But I guess at that point, it doesn't, that doesn't have anything to do with your salvation aspect of what you believe.
Yeah.
So it's not that big of a deal.
To be fair, like the whole red and leak thing, if you haven't listened to it, it's worth.
No, I would like to.
It's
listen
worth
to
a good
it.
listen. You're talking about a good, just for the two episodes, it's about a good 4 hours.
Ooh.
Where each of them talk about how they deconstructed their faith and ultimately said we no
Gosh.
longer believe. But in reality,
Man.
for them, it's really started with the evolution thing.
Did it really?
Yeah. It was actually Rhett who kind of spearheaded that. And it's like, I
Mhm.
really don't believe because of the evolution thing, and then basically dragged Link along with him.
Rat, look what you did.
Now, to be fair, okay, they are getting some hatred for what they said in that end.
Yeah.
You know what? You can hate all you want, but that's not going to change what they think. And
No,
because what they did was they went through and they took that fine-tooth comb and they analyzed, why do we believe what they believe? Now, in their situation, they came up with a conclusion that me and you would, and Josh would, I forget Josh is here because he's not talking, would say we don't agree with that conclusion. But
right.
based on what they did, that's where they came from.
Mhm.
Now, me, I can say I have done this probably 3 different times in my life.
Okay.
And I'll get to those in just a second here. But
For sure.
I would say for you, Aaron,
Uh-oh.
for you, Brewer, especially Brewer, who's getting married.
Oh. Yeah, I don't have to worry about it as much.
No, you too.
All right, what is it?
I would say at some point, I'm not giving you a timeline. I'm not saying you must do this.
You better do this better next time we get together.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. Okay. Because this isn't something that you can just do. This takes time. Take that fine tooth comb and go through everything.
Right. Yes. Well,
And be like, why do I believe X?
Mhm.
Why do I believe Y?
I guess what are you asking that I believe?
What do you believe about Jesus, God, the Bible?
Oh.
What do you believe about that? What from the Christian faith do you believe?
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? Maybe some of it you won't find an answer for immediately. And
Right.
you might be like, okay, you know what? I don't know about this. Now I need to learn, maybe. Or
Mhm.
you'd be like, I don't know about this. I just need to have faith for a little bit until I'm able to learn. Because
Right.
this is a long process. This isn't something you just sit down one afternoon and be like, boom. This is something that could be a lifelong thing.
Oh, I mean, it is.
It is. Well, the learning thing, but
Yeah.
where you examine it, I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason I say to anyone listening to you, to Brewer, to do this at least once in your lifetime.
Yeah.
Because if you do it once while you're not facing a crisis of some sort,
Mm-hmm.
when something comes along where it causes that crisis of faith, where something just horrible happens and mentally, emotionally, you're unstable at that time, it is very hard to process through those things and think straight
Right.
at the time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think of the last time I did this, it was 2018.
Not too long ago.
No, it wasn't. It was in January of 2018. What was happening in January of 2018, sir?
A lot of fun stuff.
What was happening?
Not good stuff.
What was happening?
Bad stuff.
What was happening?
It was the
Say
whole
it,
going to
say
hospital
it.
stuff, right? Getting into the hospital.
Yes, I went to a
Yeah.
psychiatric hospital because
Yeah.
I was suicidal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I said say it.
Okay. I don't know. Okay.
That's-
I just figured you know what I'm talking about.
No,
So,
but
okay.
I
Alright.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they don't.
But people listening do not understand what I'm
Unless they listen to the
or-
May podcast.
talking, or they know me directly.
Or
Yeah.
that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, you want, when you're doing this sort of stuff, you want to do it so that way it's accessible,
Yeah.
so you don't have to be
Right.
like, you have to go listen to this big old back catalog. Okay. But regardless.
Yeah.
So yeah, in January 2018, I was suicidal. I went to a psychiatric hospital. Now, they got me on meds, they got me in therapy, started getting better afterwards. After that, I had essentially a crisis of faith as I'm going through these things.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm going, why is this happening?
Mm-hmm.
Why would God allow me to feel this way if I'm not supposed to feel this way? If I'm supposed to preserve life, and that if I'm supposed to live, why is this allowed to happen?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to take various components that I believed and start filtering them through and go, why do I really believe this?
Mm-hmm.
Not so much as okay, I believe this. Let me find the reason to deconstruct it and prove it false. But in a sense, why do I believe this to reaffirm this is why I believe it, not just give lip service to it?
Right. I guess, a reason, the things to believe. You can use examples from the Bible for
Yes.
sure. Easy to do.
Yes. I'm
And
not,
then-
I'm not discounting that you can't.
No, yeah. But then even going into just seeing what's happened in one, your life, your own life,
Mhm.
and seeing just the stuff that's been happening in other friends' lives and stuff as time goes on, and just like some things are just so, so incredible. Or it's like there's no other way that this thing could have happened,
Right.
without God.
Yeah. And,
So-
and that's a reasonable use of data. Personal examples is reasonable. People go, oh,
Mhm.
that's not reasonable. In a way, in order for you to
Beg to
believe
differ.
something, it has to be at some level
Personal.
personal. It can't be all head knowledge.
Right.
I could, if I make it all head knowledge, I could go, okay, this, and this, maybe lift off some verses, list off, historical facts, figures, research data. That's great if it's in my head, but if it's not applying to what I actually live and believe,
What is it?
it's useless.
Yep.
It's a drum kit without a drummer.
No. That's hurt. That's sad.
I figured you would. I figured you would respond that way. But that's why I recommend you guys do that
Yeah,
at least
that's
once,
good.
because at that point you're no longer just doing I'm going to church, I'm on the worship team, I believe what I believe.
Well,
It's
yeah.
this is why. This is personal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also good in a way to maybe remind yourself, on some of those things too. Same
Mhm.
reason I recommend keeping a journal in that is those things that will skip your mind that you write down, and then you can look back years later and be like, that's how God was moving at that time.
Yeah. Well, I was like, I sent you that one text message that one day. Because we were for like this college study, we were told to kind of reflect back on our lives and think about like one, either like what happened in your life that was, I don't know, just very, what was it? I'm trying to remember the whole thing. But I guess things that we could say that God put there for a reason,
Right.
kind of thing. And like who or what did God put in your life to just lift you up, encourage you, or just keep you going, kind of thing. And crap. Oh, we were going over Habakkuk.
Okay.
And the very beginning of it is very discouraging. Like, and I was so excited about it because the guy that was teaching it, he's like, it's like if you're someone that is struggling with like doubts or just not sure like what's going on in your life or why things are going on, you're just in a real dark time, like Habakkuk, like it was not good. At least for the beginning of it, he's like, why? Pretty much what he's saying to God and asking God is like, why are you letting evil triumph and prosper while the ones that love you and are trying to do what you would want us to are suffering and stuff like that. Like how are you going to look past us? But then, well, you just like look at the evil and just dismiss it and not worry about it, kind of thing. It's like, what are you doing? And then God's response is pretty intense to him, saying he's like,
He says, look among the nations and see, wonder, and be astounded. Is that what you're talking about?
yes,
From the first chapter?
he's like,
For behold, I'm raising up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation who march through the breadth of the earth to seize dwellings not their own. They are dreaded and fearsome. Their justice and dignity go forth from themselves. Their horses are swifter than leopards, more fierce than the evening wolves. Their horsemen press proudly on. Their horsemen come from afar. They fly like an eagle, swift to devour. They all come for violence, all their faces forward. They gather like captives like sand. At kings they scoff, and at rulers they laugh. They laugh at every fortress, for they pile up earth and take it. Then they sweep by like the wind and go on, guilty men whose own might is their God. Is that the response?
That's really, really great. But the thing I mean, verse 5 is because we ended on verse 5 for the night.
Oh, of course.
To be the uplifting part of it, but like it's crazy to think about. It's like, okay, you see all this going on, but then because you don't want to let that distract you and like have this thought of God's dropped, just let us go. He doesn't care anymore, kind of thing. Because he's like,
right.
For when he's in the second half of verse 5, it's like, for I am doing a work in your days that you would not believe if I told. So it's like,
the part that I accidentally skipped.
Yeah. Because to think of that, it's like, we see things from such a small, I guess, scale. Like
we have a very narrow view of
Yeah.
eternity and history.
yeah.
We see stuff in the terms of Racine, Wisconsin.
Yeah. Which is nothing. So,
Criminal capital of the world.
yeah. Right. So, I mean, gosh, and I'm rambling on now. This is bad.
Okay, Josh.
Sorry.
Josh is like, someone else can take my position.
He's like dead.
I need a break every so often.
A break of what?
Of ranting.
Oh,
okay.
I thought
All
I'd give you enough of those breaks.
But no, I don't get enough from Aaron.
Oh, okay.
True.
But yeah, I remember that text message you sent me. And I read it. I was like, oh, okay. I got to get back to work.
Yeah.
And I responded like the next day.
Yeah.
And I think I even wrote, I was like, yeah, it wasn't easy at times, sir.
No, it never is. And that's like, that's the thing. It's like, for you in that time, it's like, you're just continuing to pour into me. And I'd be like, okay, well, this kid's just being an idiot, but still going at it, whatever. And then just over time is just finally it's like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. And then it's just like, I mean, yeah, it takes, some things just take time.
Yeah, and especially when you're a young male. That
Yeah.
guys were dumb until about the age of 30.
Right.
We're idiots. I don't
Yeah.
know why any guy's allowed to get married before the age of 30. It should be illegal.
It should be illegal.
It should
Something
be.
like that.
It should be, because we're idiots, completely through and through idiots.
We used to get married at such a younger age
I know. Back in the
But
day when
things
you
were a lot
actually had
different.
to survive.
True.
Nowadays, what?
We're pampered.
Oh no, they're out of my coffee at Starbucks. Oh, Instagram is down. I know. Tell me how your coffee looks.
Describe your Starbucks to me. Oh.
So,
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, and like that being with that whole like repetition, that's another huge thing is consistency
Mhm.
is what proves it. Because once you, I mean, being
that
consistent
builds
with
the
it, then
habit
you-
up.
Yeah, and like again, that's the whole like talk about like testing your faith. Like if you're not testing it, then you're not doing anything with
Right.
it. It's just
And testing it is part of that
is
combing
what-
through it with that
Yeah,
fine tooth
That's what
comb.
helped.
And
Yeah.
just because inevitably you're going to find stuff in there that maybe you've picked up over time
mm-hmm.
that you're like, where did I get this from? I need to do some spring cleaning, get that
Right.
that junk out of there.
Yeah,
So not only does it A, reinforce what you believe, but B, it does a little bit of spring cleaning on maybe some of the junk that's been picked up over time.
yeah. We always have to, man. That's a big thing. We always have to stay
And I think
into it.
yeah, and I think that's something that so where this conversation really came up from me
Mhm.
was it was an idea because I was listening to the classic crime. Different
Yeah.
Shades of Green was the name of the
Yeah.
song. And that's where really this kind of came from in my head as I'm just sitting there brewing through ideas and listening to it. I'm like, that is interesting, this concept of being able to go through and comb through things. And just knowing and listening to Matt as he's explained various parts of the songs and the meaning behind it. And some of it is just kind of that trying to find things. Shades of Green is in a way a song about questioning and deconstructing what you take for granted of what you believe
Mhm.
and redefining what it means. And some of it, some people like Red and Link, they're going to go and take that and say, because of this, we don't believe.
Mhm.
Other people, like myself, are going to take and be like, okay, now I know 100% this is why I believe this. And I ended up stronger on the other side of it than when I
Right.
went in. Now, obviously, I was also in a very bad point in life at that time, too.
Right.
So it's not like I could have gone much worse. Just being frank
Yeah.
here. I could have, if I would have gone much worse, that would have been me in the grave at that point.
Right.
But
Mm.
even in a good time, it's before that crisis hits, no matter what it is. And each of us are going to have a different crisis at different point in our life.
Mhm.
It could be the loss of a parent, the loss of a spouse, the loss of a child, loss of a job, loss of something.
Mhm.
Don't know. It's going to be different for each of us. Aaron, it might be the loss of an arm and he can no longer play drums.
I mean, wait.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like they're gone. They're amputated.
both of them are.
One.
Oh, I mean, because Def Leppard did it with one arm.
Okay,
so.
fine, both.
Dang.
For Brewer,
Right.
it could be the loss of his ability to do fine motor control.
Bye-bye airplanes.
It could be whatever. Don't know. And we're each going to have that at different points in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And if you wait until then to reinforce why you believe what you believe, no matter what you believe, okay, if you're
Mhm.
listening, whether you're agnostic, Muslim, Christian, whatever, understanding why you believe is essentially important.
Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah.
Brewer, do you have any thoughts? Comments?
He's so out of it.
You are just
He
quiet.
is so out of it.
Everyone enjoy a rant-free episode.
Not exactly, but
No, but It's mostly rant free. It's 99% rant free.
It's Josh rant free.
That, yes. For so far.
So far, we might find a way to trigger him.
Yeah.
No, you won't.
As he falls back.
As we
back asleep.
inject caffeine directly into his veins.
That's what you need.
Yeah, it is. But so as we're in this season of Lent,
Right.
You can give up whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
You can fast however long you want. I'm not fasting, as is obvious.
Same.
Stomach.
As we go to Pepe's.
Yeah, I know. So you can do that, but whatever reason you're doing Lent, whatever you're giving up, whatever you're altering of your daily routine that you normally have, whatever you do to prepare for Easter, and Easter is a very important holiday in the Christian calendar. It is the day that we celebrate Jesus rising from the grave. So as we look forward and prepare for that, we need to take these times to, I'll say it, deconstruct to understand what we're doing. Take those things that we're replacing. So if you're giving up meat, if you're giving up video games, alcohol, caffeine, music, reading books, going for walks, whatever it is you're giving up, replace it instead with something that helps you understand your faith better. That is the best way to prepare for Easter.
Right.
That is the best way to prepare and honor the reason for Lent. And that is the best way that we can grow, learn, and mature as we go through our lives.